What's up, everybody? Thanks again for tuning in to Tankers Fantasy Football. And today we're going to talk about DraftKings again, and we're going to go into some matchup plays for Week 2.
Going with some more DraftKings, and oh man, do you love it? I know I do. We're going to lead off with this week. We're going to start the quarterback position. We're going to go like a value play. I think it might be the value play of the league, especially what he did in Week 1 out there, throwing them 4 touchdowns. We're talking about Jameis Winston. And I know he's playing against that Cardinals defense, which is pretty stingy out there. But I don't know. Jameis is looking pretty solid. Looks like, he's very capable of running a solid 2-minute offense. 4 touchdowns last week, looking very good. He started slow, but then just turned it on toward right before halftime. Just turned it on out there.
Garoppolo looked pretty decent against the Cardinals D out there.
Yeah, so it's not like it's desolation row out there. The game is in Arizona. But, I think for 6,200, my goodness, Jameis Winston is a clear-cut value play of the week at quarterback, I do believe. And then we got to go. I think this is the must-start running back of the week here. Let's look what the Lions running backs did to that Colts team. Amendola and Theo Riddick are both top 7 fantasy backs in PPR right now, people. That is ridiculous. And we're talking about C.J. Anderson playing at home in Denver against the Indianapolis Colts.
A team that already wants to run the ball first. They've shown that they really can't get the ball moving through the air. And CJ is looking pretty good to start the year here.
Like we said.
It's his backfield.
In the AFC West podcast, they said they're going to try. They think he can run for 1,500 yards, and I don't know if he's capable of that. But that's saying to me they're at least willing to give him the full workload. And that Week 1, he got a full workload. And he's had an extra period of time to rest because he was on that Thursday game Week 1. I think it's all systems go. I think the Bronco offense runs through him, especially if Demaryius Thomas misses time. And I think it's C.J. Anderson's going to touch that football 25 times minimum against these Colts. And I think that spells at least 150 total yards and a good 1 or 2 scores easy out there against these Colt bumps. My goodness. They just let Amir Abdullah and Theo Riddick just eat him alive last week. Just tear him apart. It was ridiculous. Now we got another guy who I think is a very solid play for 5,700 in your other running back spot. We're talking about DeMarco Murray here, and he's looking to touch the football. Derrick Henry only came in to spell him. Derrick Henry was not getting serious.
Yeah, it was very surprising to me how little they did use Henry after looking so solid in preseason. We knew DeMarco was going to be the starter, but he was pretty much the workhorse Week 1 for him.
Oh, and he was so involved in the passing game, catching 2 touchdowns when he had 5 catches.
He was doing a little Superman into the end zone for a score.
Oh, he looked spry out there. It looked like the DeMarco Murray I used to know. He was so good. And we're going to lead it off. We got some solid plays here with the Winston. With the C.J. Anderson, I think C.J. Anderson, if you're doing DraftKings this week, I think for 6,800, C.J. Anderson is your absolute boy. And we got DeMarco Murray. And we got some receivers, and I like these guys. Brandon Cooks for 8,000 is our number 1 receiver, and boy, did he look special last week.
That 98-yard touchdown, or whatever it was, that was one of the prettiest plays that we saw Week 1. And like we said, last year, it took him, first half of the season to really get going on the touchdowns, and then he goes out and gets 2 for you Week 1.
Oh, that 98-yard catch, it was like he caught it, and you're like, oh, these guys got the angle, and then it was just like, nope, super dust city, don't even have a chance, burn these guys in the end zone by 20 yards. It was ridiculous. It was like, oh, this guy's going to tackle him at the 50, no, he's not. It was ridiculous. And so after that, we got a great matchup here. And for 6,500, they're still talking about limiting Kelvin Benjamin snaps, but I'm not a believer. I think that might be smoke and mirrors talk. The guy
he played pretty much every snap in Week 1 anyway.
Looked very good out there. Very good. I'm a kind of a Kelvin Benjamin hater before the season started, but he looked pretty good out there. And he's playing against the Niners. in Carolina. So I'm feeling like that, you know, that West Coast to East Coast time thing. And they come in, they fly in, they don't play as well. And I mean, the Niners are coming off a 28-0 shutout against the Rams. And what's talking about? That's not because the Niners are good.
It's not going to get any better than that for the Niners all season. I'm sorry,
Oh
Niners.
no, that was it for them.
I mean,
that was their Cinderella ball. They went 28-0, and they might get knocked out 28-0 this week because I mean it wasn't talking about how good the Niners are. That was just showing you how bad the Los Angeles Rams
Benjamin, he took one pass. It was just a screen to him out at the line of scrimmage. Nothing fancy. Broke a tackle and got you 10 yards plus.
Oh.
Man, this guy, he's almost like a high schooler playing with middle schoolers on some of these corners that try and match up against him.
I mean, that third in the parking lot they had when he didn't convert, but when he caught that ball over the middle, I didn't think old boy Kelvin Benjamin, weighing that much, being that big, could move that fast, but he was getting it out there. I mean, he caught that ball over the middle, and I thought for a second, is he going to convert this?
This could happen.
If he's going to convert third in the parking lot, I mean, it didn't happen, but for a secondary, he had me believing.
A small glimpse there.
He had me believing. And our third wide receiver, I think this guy's ultra value at 6,100. Talking about Michael Crabtree. And I'm really all in on this guy. I mean, Cooper did really good last week, but Crabtree also did very well. And Crabtree's going for like 1,300 less than Cooper right now. And I love Cooper. I mean, if you're on Cooper, I mean, that's a great play as well this week. But I mean, Crabtree for 6,100, if you're looking for value, hey, he's doing it out there.
I mean, Crabtree has to be one of the most underrated plays in a year plus. I mean, last year he had better numbers than Cooper, and so far everyone's been talking about Cooper this year in week 1, and Crabtree, I mean, he didn't go out there and drop a bomb. I mean, he put up some very
comparable numbers. When that 2-point conversion with the game on the line, they went to throw it up to the corner to Michael Crabtree on a one-on-one jump ball. I mean, that's the kind of confidence they are working with Michael Crabtree right now. I mean, Jack Del Rio is the balls of steel coach of the week. I mean, he's out there. Oh, Al D can just hear the Al Davis whispers in his ear, just win, baby. Just win. He was like, we're doing it, Al. Whoa, we're going to do it. And he did. I mean, the stones on this guy. Overtime, nothing, says Jack Del Rio. I'm not sure Jack Del Rio even knows overtime exists. He's out there clanging and banging.
All right, tight end spot, who you looking at?
I mean, this guy, I was kind of worried about him coming to the season, but he looked pretty decent out there. I mean, Jim Bob Cooter offense is slanging. I mean, if anybody's going to lead the league in pass yards, that pass attempts, it isn't Drew Brees. I'm talking about Matthew Stafford. And I mean, Eric Ebron for 3,500 is a pretty solid play in my eyes. It really is.
I mean, him and Golden Tate were questionable all week, but really with this new rule of they don't have probable that you can list anymore. I mean, every fantasy owner knew he was going to go out there, but I don't think anyone expected Ebron to put up the numbers that he did.
Oh no, he looked very solid out there. I mean, very solid. I mean, he could be a bottom tier 1 tight end. Like, he could be a top 10 tight end. I mean, for 3,500.
I mean, after all, he's got the talent. Everyone knows he's got the talent. He's a first-round pick for a tight end.
I mean, I think he's going to be a solid red zone target for Stafford all year. I mean, for 3,500, I think he's totally worth the risk. I mean, if he keeps doing good, he ain't going to be costing you 3,500 for much longer. That's not happening. And, we went cheap on defense like I usually do with some Cowboys for 2,400, but they're playing the Redskins, and oh my God,
they
them Redskins
did not look good Monday night whatsoever.
Them Redskins look bad. So at 2,400, I feel like that's the value play for the week at defense. So that was able to still have us 4,800 for that flex play, and a guy at 4,800 that's still pretty cheap that did it for you last week. I'm talking about Melvin Gordon. I mean, Melvin Gordon in your flex is a solid play.
2 touchdowns for you last week, and they're playing Jacksonville, who I know they've improved their defense, but they're still Jacksonville. They let Eddie Lacy get in the end zone last week. I think Melvin Gordon can get you another touchdown this week for you.
Oh, I mean, they apparently want him to. I mean, they're doing it out there. He looked pretty good. I mean, they're running the ball. They're playing at home, and with Keenan Allen out, I think they might be trying to lean on that run game just a little bit more, maybe. And if that's the case, I mean, Melvin Gordon could be a very sexy play for 4,800. 4,800 is pretty cheap, people.
All right, let's talk about another lineup here. Now, last week I gave you that Dak Prescott $5,000 play. I got another $5,000 play for you, and I love it more this week than last
Digging
week.
them up, running them out there.
And I am running out Josh McCown.
Oh, digging them.
And I love the play. Baltimore secondary, I feel like he can tear them apart. I mean, last year when he was playing, he had like a 400-yard game under his belt.
He might resurrect the life of Gary Barnidge out there catching zero balls last week. I think Josh McCown's his lifeline. I think if you drafted Gary Barnidge and you're like begging and praying for RG3 to get hurt, I mean, what it looks like, I mean, Josh McCown's your boy again. And Gary Barnidge might be back to relevancy because with RG3 in there, it appeared to be dead in the water. Just dead.
Yeah, I love McCown this week. I think he's got far more upside than Dak Prescott last week. At the same price of $5,000, which is the cheapest you can possibly spend on a QB.
Yeah. I mean, you're digging him up for $5,000. I mean, I guess you got to go with your boy Josh McCown out there.
All right, so I'm going cheap on QB. I'm getting some cheap PPR guys.
We're going guys that catch passes out here.
Now, we're going to get, for my first one, I'm getting Theo Riddick out there, who, like we said, top 7 back so far this year. I like the matchup. I mean, I think he's going to still get you catches. He might sneak in the end zone.
I mean, they're playing against the Titans who are stuffing up Adrian Peterson last week, so if they start stuffing the run with Abdullah, I mean, they're going to turn to Theo Riddick very quick. I mean, it ain't nothing for Theo Riddick to go out there and catch 5 or 6 balls. I mean, if Theo Riddick sneaks, I think his floor is like 12 right now with all the balls he's going to catch you. But if he's going to sneak into the end zone, I mean, that's where he can go over on you. And they even let him run it into the end zone. I mean, that's unheard of. Theo Riddick doesn't get rushing touchdowns. Theo Riddick doesn't get rushing touchdowns, but he did last week. I mean, he looked sprier than I ever thought he was. I was kind of buried.
Good. Yeah.
I was like, no way he does what he did in 2015 again, but my goodness, he might do better. I mean, maybe not 80 catches, but overall fantasy points in PPR. Well, I mean,
he's running hard, too. I mean, he's not just a finesse guy.
If he's looking to get getting a little bit more red zone touches, I mean, this guy could be your boy, especially for 4,300.
All right, the other running back. I'm going to get a little Tim Coleman here. Now, if you were watching the episodes, you know how much I hated on Devontae Freeman. I said this guy wasn't going to be a top 15 running back, which if it holds up, that's obviously going to happen.
It was a hot take that might come to fruition, people. It was a hot take. Saying this bum that was the number 1 running back last year won't even be a top 15. It's a hot take. But more and more as the days go by, it looks like it might come to fruition.
I mean, there are people bashing me for taking a Gronkowski in the 2nd round over Freeman. And now, I mean, you look at their amount of touches last week, they virtually had the same amount of touches Coleman and Freeman did. And Coleman went out there and got you almost 80 yards more.
77 more yards on 1 fewer touch than Devontae Freeman. 1 fewer touch, he got you 77 more yards. And he was the one out there grinding that third down roll.
He was getting the catches that Freeman was eating up last year.
I mean, if Freeman can't do those catches like he was last year, I think his value is almost nothing now. I mean, if Coleman's going to be that third down back or that 2-minute drill back, I mean, that's bad news for Devontae Freeman.
Freeman not even averaging 2 yards a carry out there. I think defenses have figured him out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know what you get when you go Josh McCown? Theo Riddick and Tevin Coleman for your quarterback, running back?
Some ballers out there. We have some ballers.
They might be the sexiest of boys.
At first, we got A.J. Green because I'm saving the entree for later.
I mean, A.J. Green? Then we got Antonio Brown. I mean, if anybody's guaranteed, I mean, Antonio Brown's serious guarantee here, people. But if anybody else is more guaranteed to go out there and just slang, just beat your opponent to death, A.J. Green is that guy now. I really do believe Antonio Brown and A.J. Green might be the number 1, number 2 receivers at the end of this year. And that's pretty, I mean, that's a high take,
You just saw his targets. I mean, A.J. Green, 12 catches. I mean, he was just... And I don't think his targets are going anywhere.
Oh, how could they? They don't got nobody else to throw the rock to, especially if Tyler Eifert's still on the shelf right now. I mean, AJ Green, Antonio Brown, I mean, these guys might go out there and just manhandle them. I mean, they could go out there and combine for 60 or 70 points.
I mean, dude, Antonio Brown's touchdown dance. What'd you think of the twerk?
I mean, how are we gonna flag a guy for a twerk? It's ridiculous.
I loved it. I went on Facebook and liked him right there.
They're gonna flag a guy for a twerk. I mean, come on. You got who's that guy out there that got that sack the other day and started air humping? I mean, with his hands behind his head humping.
It was Von Miller.
Von Miller does the air hump with his hands behind his head, and somehow that's less crazy than a guy doing a twerk. I mean, it's still a thrusting motion. I mean, if we're talking about of the sexual nature, I mean, they're both in the same ballpark, right? I mean, my goodness, I think it's just absolutely absurd. It wasn't a choreograph. It was a man twerking. And he wasn't even twerking it hard. He was kind of twerking it soft out there. He was twerking it soft out there.
I love him. So I'm running out Antonio Brown. I got AJ Green. And this guy, did he have a week last week or what? Willie Snead out there. For 5,800, I guarantee he's not going to get you what he did last week.
I mean, the guy went out there.
But I don't think he's just going to go out there and shell away and die on it. I think with Drew Brees still throwing as the second option.
I mean, when they were on the goal line and there was only one receiver on the field, it was Willie Snead, and he caught that touchdown. Like, you didn't even know he was on the field. You're like, oh, who is that bum? Some backup tight end? No. It was Willie Snead, and he's somehow on the field in the 12 package. He's the only one out there. And I mean, $5,800 on a guy who caught all 9 of his targets for 172 yards and a touchdown last week? I mean, I'm not saying he might do that again, but for $5,800, I don't think this guy's going to go out there and lay a 5-burger for you.
I
think you write him down for 15.
I think anytime you're in the starting lineup with Drew Brees and he's slinging it 50 to 60 times a game,
I mean, until further notice,
you're going to get very solid production.
Until further notice, when Michael Thomas and Colby Fleener start maybe taking over a little bit of his role, I mean, until further notice, I mean, Willie Snead is a very sexy play for daily fantasy and your yearly leagues. I mean, he really is, people. I mean, you got him late in those yearly leagues. I mean, who we got there tight end now? I mean, this is a solid play, especially against a team like the Washington Redskins. I mean, Jason Witten was a target monster.
Was. I mean, you saw last year that, I mean, rookies just love their tight ends. You saw Mariota loving on Delaney Walker and reviving him. This year, I think Dak Prescott could bring Jason Witten to a brand new form here.
I mean, if Jason Witten can somehow start adding a little bit of touchdowns to these receptions he's getting, I mean, this guy could be the golden goose out there at tight end this year. I mean, how many he caught? Like, what, 9 balls yesterday? 89 balls yesterday? I mean, I know he's not getting them yards really that hard, but, I mean, my goodness, people, for 4,300, I mean, I think that might be the value play of the week at tight end, especially against a team like the Washington Redskins, who just look sad.
Jesse James even got a good solid 5-6 catches
like 5 catches out there for old boy, the outlaw Jesse James. I mean, Dak Prescott just loves James Witten, apparently. He's like his blankie out there. He's his little security blanket, and I love it for 4,300. And when you get all these sexy boys,
you gotta take a risk on a flex here. But I mean, we got a boy in Chris Hogan, and he was out there on the field most of the plays out there.
The Hulkster played 55 of the 71 snaps for the Patriots last week. The Hulkster playing almost as many snaps as Julian Edelman out there. I mean, I know it's Garoppolo throwing the ball. We're talking about playing the Miami Dolphins in New England. I mean, for 3,500, I mean, value play of the week. I mean, the Hulkster. I mean, for real, people. And to really top it off, and this is why you get the Hulkster. I mean, if you're looking for a defense that's going to actually perform for you in fantasy?
If you're looking at a possibly 20-point defense, we got one for you.
I mean, the Seattle Seahawks against the Rams in LA. I mean, I know it's in LA, but how good? How much do the Seahawks just want to go in there and just ruin, just all over their opening day and their opening game, and they're gonna make their fans boo them into the tunnel at halftime, and you know it's happening, people. We could be looking at back-to-back shutouts to start the new LA Rams. Oh, that's reality.
I saw a stat. It was I don't even remember the date, but it was the year the last time the Los Angeles Rams scored a touchdown. And it was decades ago.
I mean, well.
It's only one game.
Well, that's a little skewed.
It's hilarious.
Well, that's a
though.
little skewed. I mean, that's just making up stories to make them look worse than they are. I mean, that's pretty hard to do because they're filth puke garbage out there, people. I mean, when is Jeff Fisher going to be fired? I mean, he's been living off a Super Bowl loss. We're not talking about a Super Bowl win. He's been living off a Super Bowl loss for the last 16 years. I mean, you know how long ago that was? There's a little thing of how long ago that was. We're talking about when Doug Flutie used to play football. We're talking about the season before Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl. That's how long ago we're talking about Jeff Fisher been living off a Super Bowl loss. He's been living off what Steve McNair and Eddie George did for him 16 years ago because he is straight bum. And if the GMs and all these people upstairs don't realize this, they're just as big as bums as he is. Michelangelo's falling over because they're such big bums.
What is that organization doing?
What are they doing?
I really don't know. I mean, I know we've got all the front offices subscribed to us here, but if the LA Rams are watching, we'll be the GMs of that team.
I mean, seriously?
For free.
I'll do it for free for like 2 or 3 years, and if I can turn you into 9-7, I mean, that's digging you
Even
up.
8-8. If we get you over that 7-9.
I'm saying your absolute ceiling this year is 2-14, and I'm serious. And I'm dead serious. This is the grave. If I can dig you to 9-7, 2 or 3 years, then you start paying me. You know what I'm saying?
What do they?
I think I can dig you out. I mean, my God, you're giving
Tavon Austin, $40 million?
You're giving this Tavon Austin guy $10.5 million a year, and then you give a bum like Kenny Britt. Oh my God, $9 million. I remember talking about the other podcast giving a guy like Dwayne Bowe $5 million, and that's gross. But Kenny Britt, $9 million. That isn't the same ballpark of gross. That is disgusting.
Tavon Austin, you're paying this guy $11 million, who's making as much as elite wide receiver ones out there.
He's making as much as Larry Fitzgerald. Making as much as Larry Fitzgerald. That's insane.
What's his route tree? 2 yards, turn around. He caught the majority of his passes within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
The guy's a full gadget player. He does wide receiver schemes. He does reverses. And that's like the end. I mean, what's this guy doing? Maybe he runs a deep route, but you think this guy's going to run like quick slants? You think this guy's going to be like a possession receiver for you? You're out of your mind. I mean, they're paying him like he's a borderline wide receiver one, and that's not even close. He's almost like Devin Hester on offense, people, and that's serious. That is serious.
Tavon Austin should be no more than a wide receiver 2 on any team. I'm talking NFL team. I'm not talking fantasy. At best, wide receiver 2, but I would feel a lot more comfortable if he was your third guy.
It's almost as bad when the Bears paid Devin Hester wide receiver money for when he was a returner. I mean, he was a great returner, Bears. He really was, Bears. But we went out there and we paid him like a wide receiver 1. And this Tavon Austin contract is almost as big as a jobbery as that. It's ridiculous.
All right, let's talk about some value plays here. Guys that we really like the matchups, or, guys that showed a little something last week, and we think you can throw them out there for a pretty cheap price.
I mean, we did it off with Will Fuller for $4,200. I mean, this guy went out there and had 11 targets last week against the Bears. 11 targets.
If this guy would have caught another catch that he dropped wide open.
That deep ball wide open.
He could be the number 1 wide receiver last week.
We could be talking about a 35-point week from Will Fuller. If he would have caught that one, it was just laying right in his hands. It could have been like a 60, 70-yard touchdown. Oh, my goodness. But he still led the team with 11 targets. I mean, that's insanity. I never saw that coming.
More than Hopkins.
I'm a little bit worried for Hopkins owners out there if this guy's going to be getting that much work.
If this guy's sharing the load. I mean, Hopkins last year, he didn't have less than 11 targets till week 12. And that's because they had like Jalen Strong and Cecil Shorts out there.
You're looking for a big-time home run hit flyer. I mean, Will Fuller for $4,200 is your boy. I mean, we got a guy that's a little more possession-y next for Eli Rogers for $4,100. He's a little more possession receiver for you. But he looked pretty shifty out there for the Steelers, and they kind of...
He kind of faded in the second half, but first half, I was like, I'm getting this guy up off of waivers in every league. He was the possession guy out there for him.
I mean, for $4,100 for a guy that you think go out there and catch 6 for 60, 6 for 70, and maybe somehow get in the end zone. I mean, for $4,100, 12, 13 points is pretty good.
How's that for a first touchdown, too?
How lucky was that burger? We're going to go with Garrett Blount, a guy who carried the ball 23 times last week?
He looked good too doing it.
I mean, pretty solid, and you know they're going to be salting that game away against the Dolphins in New England this week. I think LeGarrette Blount's forecasted for another 20 carry week, and I mean, against the Dolphins, we could be talking about maybe 2 touchdowns LeGarrette Blount. I mean, if they start dumping it off to him at all, like if he can somehow skirmish up like 1 or 2 catches a week, LeGarrette Blount could turn into an instant RB2. Instant. I mean, what's it take to be an RB2? It don't take much more than 12, 14 points a week to start talking about RB2.
And I think, I mean, they're obviously gonna be winning this game here. I don't see how they can't be.
That New England D is too good for them.
They're going to be milking the clock. They're just going to be feeding it to him. He's going to be bumbling, stumbling, getting in there, getting you touchdowns, getting you carries.
If Gronk plays, they'll have Gronk and Martellus Bennett out there,
Blocking
who are
out there.
both great blockers. That's almost borderline 7 linemen. And, I mean, if they're both out there lead blocking for him running, I mean, it could be LeGarrette Blount all day. You know the Patriots would love to do that, especially with Garoppolo out there.
Yeah.
If they could just sit there and salt the game away with 20, 25 carry LeGarrette Blount all day, they will. They will. Who else we got out there?
Another guy, I think his stat goes up with Josh McCown in there, and I think Terrell Pryor, 3,500, is a good play this week against that Baltimore secondary. If there's anyone on this team that I feel like besides Barnage that's going to do it for you, I really think it's Terrell Pryor. I know that sounds crazy, but
I mean, I know it's like a boom bust play, but he could return. I mean, all you got to do is get one out there.
If he hits on one deep pass, I mean, he's worth it in your flex.
I mean, 3,500. I mean, that's what boom bust is. I mean, 3,500. You're not looking for much better than boom bust. That's what we're talking about. The Hulkster in the lineup. They're both cost 3,500. So if you feel better about Terrell Pryor over the Hulkster, feel free because they're the same exact price. Who else we got there? We got some Outlaw for 34. I mean, he's not sexy play, you know, but he's out there getting done. He's playing almost every down.
And Jesse James, what, 6'7"?
6'7", the Outlaw.
And he kind of looked like that Heath Miller for him out there. I mean, he was giving some little nice soft security blanket throws to him. He was getting involved in the offense.
I mean, with 3,400, I mean, I don't know, run him out there. Run him out there. I love it. Then we got another for 3,000. This might be the ridiculous cheap play, cheap as balls.
This is as cheap as receivers can go.
$3,000. Jeremy Curley, who had 11 targets last week. 11 targets. And he looked pretty good doing it out there for the old Jeremy Curley.
I mean, people are probably saying, who's this number 17 out there? We don't even know who this guy
It
is.
was crazy.
He's a crafty player. He looked shifty. He looked solid, reliable. I think Blaine Gabbert, he doesn't want to stretch the field really. He's kind of looking for those short routes. I think he can continue on this, 5, 6, 7.
Well, they're projected to play from behind against the Panthers this week, so I mean, Jeremy Curley, $3,000. Like, if you're looking to beef up a few roster spots with some $3,000 in your flex, I mean, Jeremy Curley's the play. I really do believe so.
I think he can easily, at worst, get you 10 points out there.
I mean, I think you can almost write it down for 5 for 60 right now. I mean, why the hell not? I mean, they got to throw it to somebody.
For 3,000 literally being the cheapest play out there.
I think he's the best 3,000 play. I think he's the 3,000 play of the week.
In history.
I think he might be I think he might be the 3,000 play of the week. And then we got some Spencer Ware, 6,100. That's still pretty cheap for a guy who's doing his sexy boy stuff that Spencer Ware was.
He probably is not going to get you 30 points, but I don't think he's
playing Houston, so temper expectations a little bit.
But I don't think he's going far at all from that RB1 spot. I think you can solidify him as a top 12 back again.
For 6,100, I'm willing to ride that train one more time. We got Stephon Diggs for 5,100. He went out there and caught 7 balls for 100 yards with the likes of old man Sean Hill slinging the rock. I mean, that's pretty good, old Stephon Diggs. Feeling good about you for 7 for 100 with old Sean Hill out there. I mean, $5,100? $5,100. I mean, I think Stephon Diggs is your boy, especially, they're playing the Packers. The Packers are going to be scoring.
They're going to be behind. They're going to be needing to throw. Adrian Peterson, he looked rough out there.
Looked rough. 19 carries for I don't even know what was it, like 31
30
yards,
something.
like 19 carries with 31 yards. I mean, oh my God. I mean, I know I say this sometimes, but I really might be able to go out there and get you 19 carries for 31 yards. I'm serious. I really might be able to. That's crazy.
People just be getting.
I know I say that sometimes, but this time I really believe it.
All right. Now we're going to talk about some guys overpriced. We don't like at all. We're going to hit you off with that Todd Gurley.
Oh, I think you guys stay away from Todd Gurley and DraftKings until proven otherwise. I mean, it just looks gross out there.
Not to mention with this matchup this week.
Oh, against the Seahawks. I mean, if he can't get it going against the Niners, I mean, I don't think there's any way he's going to get it going against the Seahawks. It is really not.
I mean, on Monday night, they literally had no respect for their passing game. They had 10 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Oh, there's really no reason to respect them. Man, Case Keenum and those receivers are straight bums. I mean, who's their tight end? Lance Kendricks? I mean, my goodness. My goodness. I mean, 7,500 for Gurley at this point
where are the playmakers
is completely
on the Rams?
gross.
Where are the playmakers on the Rams?
75 for Gurley right now. Until further notice, I mean, Todd Gurley is completely unusable in DraftKings. Completely. I mean, Freeman for 6,100, I think he's completely unusable in DraftKings too until further notice.
Yeah,
I really do.
I have to see Coleman get hurt again or just have Freeman get involved in the passing game. But right now, I think it's Coleman. I really think it's going to be Coleman's job here.
I know you paid a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about back into the yearly leagues. I know you paid a lot of money for Gurley and Freeman. You know, I paid, the price of the first and the second round, but I mean, if you got somebody on your bench, I think you almost got it till further notice, especially on Freeman. Till further notice. You really do. And who else? We got Gore for 5,000 playing the Broncos. I mean, that's just unsavory. I mean, the Donkeys are going to run. The Donkeys are going to shut them down.
I mean, Gore what do you have, like 6 points?
No, he had like 12, 13 last week. Yeah, he caught some balls.
All right, he didn't
do much with those receptions, but he had like 4 balls. He caught like 4 balls.
But anyway,
but that was against the Lions.
Yeah,
we're talking about
Denver
the Broncos
here. I mean, as good a D as they're in the league, you gotta hate that.
I mean, you're looking at Melvin Gordon for 48, and you're looking at Gore for 5,000. I mean, I think you gotta take Melvin Gordon on that every day. Seriously. And we got Luck for 77, also playing the Broncos. I like Luck. And we're talking about like yearly leagues. Like you gotta start Luck because he's your boy. But in DraftKings for 7,700, I just think going to find a better option. I really do. I mean, at 7,700 for a guy playing the Broncos is not what you're really looking for out there.
And then another quarterback, Captain Kirk at 7,000. I mean, he did not look like the same guy last season.
I mean, you can get Carson Palmer for 69. I mean, 6,900 for Palmer over Kirk for 7? Ridiculous.
Any day. Especially this matchup. I mean,
even Winston, like we talked about earlier, for 6,200. I mean, $800 less than Captain Kirk. You can get Jameis Winston. Where do I sign up? Like, seriously, where do I sign up right now? That's ridiculous.
Kirk's another guy that he's got to do something before I even consider playing him, especially for $7,000. I mean, that's crazy. That's just unheard of.
Yeah, ridiculous. 800 more than guys like Winston who just threw for 4 touchdowns last week. I mean, my goodness, what is going on there?
$2,000 more than my boy Josh McCown.
I feel like they're just trying to bait the people that don't know by dropping these numbers like $7,000 on Kirk Cousins and like $5,000 on Frank Gore. They're just trying to like bait you into playing them so you can lose.
All right. Once again, thanks for watching. We're on that Twitter.
We are on that Twitter.
Subscribe, like us, comment. We'll get at you any comment.
We'll answer your questions. We always do respond. We love suggestions. We make moves out there, people. We love you.
Thanks again for watching. We'll see you later.